Venice's flooding is becoming a significant issue. Just last month, flooding in Venice reached near record levels, prompting widespread alarm among the local community. Many are concerned that the city's and its population's more regular floods are forcing them out in search of safer locations to live and do business. It has become more severe and regular over time, to the point where Venice now has its own flood warning system. Continue watching the video to know what measures Italy is taking to stop this surge, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Everyone understands that you want to pump water out of a sinking ship, but what do you do when a city is sinking? In this situation, it is possible that water will be pumped in. Venice has always been admired for its distinct personality. The picturesque city is crisscrossed with canals and built in a lagoon near the coast of Italy. Its soggy condition invites a continuous stream of visitors, but it also exposes its costly floods. The region occasionally gets extremely high tides, known locally as acqua alta. Winds force water to pile up in the north end of the Adriatic Sea, which is long and narrow. When this occurs at a high tide, the City of Water becomes even more soaked, and the water level might increase by 1 to 2 meters. Global sea level rise and subsidence are both aggravating the city's flooding danger. In a nutshell, the sea is rising while the city sinks. The silt beneath the metropolis, like that of other towns constructed on river deltas, is compacting with time. This compaction would be countered in a natural setting by the deposition of fresh silt near the surface, but the rivers supplying the lagoon were redirected in the 1500s. As a result, the land surface is sinking, and salt marshes suffer as a result. Pumping of shallow groundwater in the mid-19th century further added to the situation. Water in the pores between sediment grains creates pressure that carries some of the burden. Where pore pressure falls or water is totally eliminated, grains can be packed more firmly together by compressing the pore gaps. The land surface sinks when silt compacts. Where the effect was minor, less than 15 centimeters, Venice does not have much leeway. So what is Italy doing to save Venice from drowning? Let's find out. Since the Great Flood of 1966, which uprooted 5,000 people and ruined $6 billion in cherished artwork, Italy has been developing a strategy to combat the Adriatic Sea's waves. That proposal has grown to become Italy's largest public works project in history, the MOSE project, also known as the Experimental Electromechanical Module Project, is set to begin operations next year. MOSE, named after Moses and the dividing of the Red Sea, is a floodgate system designed to keep the Venetian lagoon from getting swamped with seawater. The MOSE barrier consists of 3 distinct flood barriers, one at each of the lagoon's 3 inlets. Each barrier is composed of around 20 separate gates that are connected by a hinge on the lagoon's floor and are hollow, allowing them to fill with water. The water-filled gates rest at the base of the lagoon during calm weather. When an abnormally high tide threatens, the water is pumped out of the gates and replenished with air, allowing the gates to float to the surface and form a barrier capable of blocking a storm surge of up to 9 feet. When the surge passes, the air inside the gates is expelled and replaced with water, causing the gates to descend to the lagoon's bottom. In contrast to a traditional wall or dike, a movable barrier such as MOSE is intended to be deployed only when necessary to defend the city from a surge. It does not isolate Venice from the sea. It has no effect on the lagoon's tidal flow. It is not a huge industrial building visible from the Venetian horizon. However, if a major storm is approaching, it may be raised in 30 minutes, forming a temporary seawall. At least that's how it's meant to operate. In actuality, the project has been delayed, embroiled in a high-profile corruption scandal, and plagued by engineering issues that have many reasonable observers wondering if it will ever work. To top it all off, cost overruns have increased the overall cost from $2 billion to $6 billion, and still counting. This project is so contentious that it took nearly 4 decades of political wrangling for building to begin. Experts are still skeptical of MOSE's potential to preserve Venice 8 years and many $billion later. There are several concerns regarding the project. The administration never conducted the necessary study to determine if a different plan would have been more or less comprehensive. Throughout the years of deliberation, the administration has neglected to examine other feasible solutions. This leads to examples such as the Delta Works system in the Netherlands, which comprises not just floodgates, but also sea barriers as high as 40 feet above sea level. Added to that, many environmentalists and scientists are concerned that floodgates would affect the lagoon's ecosystem and wildlife, especially since they will have to be lifted frequently owing to the high frequency of flooding. Seeing the cost of the project, some politicians have also argued that this problem of flooding does not require such an expensive solution since it has not caused any deaths. Many have warned of the danger that this might begin to happen, along with the historical structures getting destroyed if something is not done now. Another concept was recently proposed too. In the same way that removing groundwater may induce subsidence, infusing water can reserve it. Although most of the pore space lost during compaction cannot be regained, increasing pore pressure can start to unpack the sediment. Injection was utilized effectively at Long Beach, California in the late 1950s to stop subsidence caused by oil and gas production as well as groundwater consumption. After the land surface sank over 30 feet, injection stabilized the subsidence and a modest rebound in land surface height, about 30 centimeters, was even detected in certain locations. Early studies suggested that a comparable level of elevation might be accomplished in Venice, which may make a significant difference for a city on the brink of collapse. However, the accuracy of such projections was hampered by a lack of precise understanding of the layers of silt beneath the metropolis. The team modeled the impact of 12 injection wells arranged in a ring around the city. The findings indicated that after 10 years of continual seawater injection, a total of about 150 million cubic meters of water, the city might be elevated 25 to 30 centimeters. This would significantly reduce the number of times the MOSE floodgate system would have to be triggered each year. As a result, the system's operational and maintenance expenses are reduced, as is its environmental effect. Also, the elevation around the city would assist the lagoon's progressively dying salt marshes. Despite the political infighting and instability, optimism for Venice springs eternal. City authorities, supported by the Italian government, have discreetly allocated large sums of money apart from the Gates project to repair the historic centre's infrastructure. Crews are removing a century's worth of muck from the city's hundreds of canals, as well as repairing and waterproofing canal walls. Bridges and fountains are being restored. They are also raising fondamenti, or walkways, along the canals and the margins of the surrounding lagoon to levels above normal high water marks. There are also plans to enhance Venice's sewage treatment, which has been discharged straight into the canals for centuries. As buildings and market areas are renovated, Venetians are installing septic tanks, and authorities expect that regular sewer pipes will be able to transport the city's waste to mainland water treatment facilities within the next 2 decades. Finally, a $50 million project to repair the city's drainage system is planned for St. Mark's Square, the city's lowest point and most often flooded region. The government is planning whatever it can do to stop the flooding, but experts believe that the measures being taken might be helpful only in the near future. It does not seem to be very considering for the far future, maybe 50 to 100 years from now. With this pace, it is aggravating. Well, that will be all from this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please consider subscribing to our channel. We'll see you with another one soon, so take care and goodbye.